Good morning to all of you out there. I'm Cito Beltran and welcome once again to the program Agenda here on Signal TV channels 8 and 250. And you can also watch us on One News Facebook. Just go to enter facebook.com/One News PH, and on YouTube, just enter One News PH, and chances are you'll catch us at this time of the day. Now, today is August 31, 2020, Monday, and I started the morning kind of in a toss-up. If you're my age, I'm sure you can connect or you can relate. Monday, the mamas and the papas, or this is August 31, the last day, or the last leaf. Alam nyo, medyo dun sa ibang bansa, nagpapaalam na sila sa summer kasi papasok na yung taglamig. In any case, tomorrow is September, so you can just start praying for a better month. I think August was relatively medyo pwede, pero marami rin pong nawala. We lost another frontliner, a doctor. We lost Mr. Bossman of the Wakanda fame, and then a number of other individuals who lost their battle to COVID-19. Ayoko pong sirain yung linggo nyo, no? Sabi ko nga, bukas September na. But it's just a reminder that life has to go on and the battle is still here. And I guess, you know, it makes us realize what war is. Maswerte na lang tayo, walang ingay, walang barilan, walang putukan, like in World War I or World War II, but we are in a world war and we have a common enemy. The world has a common enemy, virus. Mabuti na lang virus, hindi ba? Hindi alien intelligence. In any case, today our guests are going to be Dr. Cynthia Palmes-Saloma. I'm sure you remember her. Siya po yung nagbigay sa atin ng introductory lecture, introduction to the genome, molecular biology and science in UP. Medyo Genome Center. Ayoko na masyadong dagdagan nyo kasi lalabas na talagang ignorante ako dyan sa mga molecular na yan. She will speak to us because apparently the scientists have tracked 3 possible or suspected sources of contamination. So let's find out. Then we will find out from Chief Economist of the UnionBank of the Philippines, Carlo Asuncion, what's going on with the banking system, the money investments, kasi may nagsabi po na naglalabasan na muli yung mga pera na dinala sa Pilipinas. Money that were brought into the Philippines for investment purposes have been leaving the country. And we need to find out if this is true, what's the impact, etc. Kasi sabi naman ng BSP, we have sufficient foreign exchange, our reserves are quite high. But the question is this just a transition? Is this real? And we'll check on that. And last but not the least, medyo ito para sa inyong mga nagsya-shampoo, nagko-conditioner, nagpe-facial, etc. Hindi po ako nagbebenta, no? Pero we believe in supporting local products, and me, my family, we always promote products we use and we know are very good. And we will be speaking with the co-founder of Human Nature, Meloto-Wilk. Okay? And we'll find out more about Human Nature. Kasi, alam niyo po, pati ako guilty. Walang biro, pati ako guilty. Bili ako ng mga kung ano-anong shampoo dati, kung ano-anong mga gamit. Tapos yung pala, sabi ng anak ko, Papa, newsflash, we've got good products here in the Philippines. Yung anak ko po, mamaya kwento ko yan. In any case, here are the stories from the front page of the Philippine Star para sa inyong mga hindi nakakabili ng dyaryo. President Rodrigo Duterte ended his self-imposed quarantine in Davao City and went to Holo, Sulu yesterday to visit the site of the twin bombings that killed 15 people. The Presidential Security Group, or PSG, enforced strict measures to protect President Duterte from getting infected with COVID-19. The president had previously said that he would visit Jolo to honor the soldiers and police who died in the blast. That's a good activity. That's a good thing. A good thing that the president did this, ladies and gentlemen. Kasi alam niyo po, malaking bagay yan para sa ating kasundaluhan, sa ating mga civilian population who are affected. I remember back in the time when there was there was some sort of a virus, bacteria that happened in Baguio. Malaking bagay po sa mga tiga Baguio nung binibisita sila ng mga media, ng mga officials para patunay na okay ang Baguio. And then when the Davao Wharf was bombed, we also went there because a lot of the hotels were affected, and people appreciated when they're visited in their toughest time. So, and also it's good because the president's public presence, visibility, dispels rumors. Kasi alam niyo po, medyo kumalat itong hindi magandang balita kasi may isang tao nagdaldal, sinabi that the president is practically in complete isolation. Ayun, nilapa ng mga troll sa Facebook. So ngayon, with the president coming out, that's a good sign. He's healthy, he's on the job, and he's taking care of the troops. In other news, President Duterte is scheduled to announce today the updated quarantine classifications of Metro Manila and other areas. The palace says that President will address the nation today and that he will do so from Malacanang as he was expected to fly in to Manila yesterday. Currently, the Philippines has more than 217,000 COVID-19 cases, the highest in Southeast Asia. Okay, abangan po natin yan, and let's all pray. At the very least, let's just stay under GCQ. Sabi nga ni San Juan Mayor Francis Zamora, let's keep Metro Manila under GCQ, and Secretary Francisco Duque also said, pareho silang Francisco. Yung dalawang Francisco sabi, wag na nating pakialaman yan kasi masisira ang ekonomiya, maganda naman yung balanse. Kanya lang po, if you have time, please read my column, or if we have time, I will try to read parts of my column today entitled Let My People Go in the Philippine Star, kasi kailangan pong medyo makalabas na ang mga Pilipino kung papa-abantehin natin ang ekonomiya. Okay, next, Senator Sani Angara called for the strengthening of anti-fraud mechanisms in PhilHealth. The country's state insurer, Angara said, it has an urgent need to digitize the database and information technology system to improve efficiency and to clamp down on fraud. This after controversies hounded the agency, which involved allegations such as an overpriced IT system and erroneous reimbursements. Okay, that's a very good statement from Sani Angara. I just want to point out, kasi ang ginagawa po ng mga senador natin, ng mga leader natin sa gobyerno, every year na lang, iniimbestigahan niyang PhilHealth. And every year na lang, okay, every year that a scandal or a discovery is made, they focus on the new thing. Like right now, they're focusing on the so-called overpriced IT and erroneous reimbursements or advanced payments to the hospitals for COVID-19. I'm there with you guys, okay? I'm there. That's fine. Anyari, what happened? Anong nangyari dun sa mga nakaraang taon? Na sinabi ninyo may ginawang ganito, ginawang ganon, may ganitong ganon, meron tayong recommendations that charges should be filed. Every year, it's the same thing. Okay? And you just add. It's like adding new material to the compost heap. Hindi pa nga nabubulok at nagagamit yung binaon ninyo noon, ayan na naman, papatungan nyo na naman ng panibagong basura. That's what has happened to the investigations done by the authorities, whether it is Congress, whether it is Malacanang, whether it's the executive department. They have simply added more and more stuff to the compost heap. Split it up and then address each pile, because otherwise it's just going to become one big pile of you know what. Okay. And come October, for the better part of the news, the Philippine Statistics Authority may get significant strides in pushing for the national ID system. According to Acting NEDA Secretary Carl Chua, PSA will be ready to roll out the door-to-door registration process in October. This is expected to shorten the amount of time to be spent in registration centers. Under the system, names, ages, and other information will be collected from homes, while biometric information like fingerprints and photographs will be captured during the appointment date. Napakalaking bagay po niyan, and pakiusap na lang po no doon sa mga amo, mga bossing, mga ate, mga kuya, mga pare, pastor, those of you who hold a position of authority and leadership. This is the time to educate everyone, ourselves and others, that the statistical data we put in is going to determine the quality and efficiency of services rendered by government to us. So kung pwede lang po, bagamat I am impressed, I am really impressed because there are Filipinos who are so honest when they receive double compensation from the social amelioration program. They actually returned. When they got dole-outs from the barangay, they returned because they said, "Ma'am, meron na po ako dun sa pinagtatrabahuan ko o meron na po ako dun sa tinitirhan ko." Because that's the problem in the Philippines. We have too many addresses. Ay sabi nga, remember nung panahon ni First Lady Imelda Marcos, di ba? Parang challenge yung kanyang residency. Kasi meron siya yung tinatawag na yan ang family home namin dyan sa Tacloban. O Tacloban ba yun? I'm sorry, no? Pasensya na kayo. Medyo hindi na ma-sharp ang memory ko. And meron din sila dyan sa pinaglabanan dyan sa may Piguerero dyan sa San Juan. So, in any case, let's be clear about addresses and statistics. Kasi dyan din po binabatay, like yung mga age. Nahihiya pa kayong magsabi, ilan ang anak. Alam nyo po, dyan dinidetermine kung ano yung age ng mga Pilipino, ano yung mga services na kailangan budgetan, etc. The National Statistics Office is so vital, but they cannot do it alone. We have to help them. Okay, that's it. Now, let's go to the balita of the day, the interviews of the day. Okay, in a newly published study, the Philippine Genome Center said the following groups could possibly be the primary sources of the virus in the Philippines. Foreign tourists, okay, repatriated OFWs, and evacuated tourists and overseas Filipinos. Okay, medyo alamin natin, kausapin natin yung napakabait na ale dyan sa Philippine Genome Center. She's the Executive Director, Dr. Cynthia Saloma. Okay, Doc Cynthia, are you there?
Yes, Cito, a very pleasant morning to you. It's a sunny day.
And it's a pleasant morning to start my day with you as the first interview dahil lagi kang nakangiti. Okay, now, I don't know if we can make the discussion pleasant, but I'm sure we can make it very informative. Kasi pag lumalabas lang sa headline o sa mga front page o mga storya-storya, parang ang bilis eh. Hindi natin alam yung detalye. Ang nabasa ko lang, we read that your group or several other scientists have tracked, traced, and determined tatlo ang pinanggagalingan ng infection. Kasi kami, ang alam namin, community transmission. So, ang alam namin, kami-kami o tayo-tayo yung naghahawahan. Is it different from what the scientists and what have your group determined?
So, ito in the beginning, di ba, wala naman tayong original SARS-CoV-2 dito. So, a lot of these were, of course, introduced from foreign sources. But sometimes, if you don't have sequence data, yung sequence ng virus, you can just infer na it's like this or like that. Marami nang galing Australia, nang galing Europe, etc., etc. But if you really go into the genome sequencing ng virus, actually makikita mo yung relationship at most likely yung pagkakaiba o pagkakatulad ng mga viruses. And when we sequence our samples, these are ang amin talagang sequence are the 6, actually we sequence more, but the one with a very good sequence annotation or assembly, yung kumbaga maganda yung pagkabuo ng sequence ng virus, we published for 6. So these were community transmissions. Ibig sabihin, hindi nila alam kung saan talaga nanggaling kasi hindi naman sila nag-travel abroad. So we sequenced 6 from the Philippine General Hospital, and the sequences were taken May 22 to 26. And when we looked at the sequences, lo and behold, they really clustered to the cases at the Diamond Princess, and yet these were not seafarers. Wow! So we were thinking, and then you remember our ITM also released 17 sequences in the data. So
Yeah.
also they're all publicly available. So we downloaded the sequences as well as those of others. This analysis, Cito, medyo matagal kasi you need to have powerful computers to do this. So for our analysis, we sequence about 1,300, we analyzed about 1,350 sequences together with those from our ITM, from the Philippine Genome Center, and run from others. And when we realized that a lot of our March samples, ito March ha, we're really clustering along the Diamond Princess. Hindi siya sabihin natin Europe, Australia, India, not true. Because if you look at the sequences, those from Europe, Australia, or India were actually also those coming from the Diamond Princess. They were also repatriated soldiers or passengers. So kung titingnan niyo yung main source of infection ng March is really the Diamond Princess, as in 17 out of 18. So some people might have the notion na Australia siya o hindi, pero kung titingnan mo yung sequence variations at if you analyze it through a phylogenetic analysis, makikita mo na talagang malaki ang contributions noong Diamond Princess. And we wondered why, kasi ito, di ba, we repatriated 445, di ba? We have the most number of crew members in that cruise ship. So 445 were repatriated by the Philippine government on February 25 to 26. They were brought directly to Clark, and then they were supposed to be subjected to 14-day compulsory quarantine. And then we have sequences that are March 3, March 4, March 7. These are from our ITM. So we believe that hopefully they came from the quarantine area. But the one that came from PGH, this March 22 to 26, wala silang travel, and yet may moderate to severe cases, 2 of whom have died. They cluster very closely with the Diamond Princess incident. So sabi namin, meron tayong community transmission, most likely coming from repatriated seafarers. That's what the data suggests. So what does it tell us? So, and this is a question that is very, very important to answer. So
Please.
just to summarize in the beginning, ang una naming cluster based on the sequences available in the data bank is yung mga Chinese, noong January. They are really very close to Wuhan sequences. The second cluster are the March and practically Diamond Princess cruise ship. And then, of course, we have the June to July sequences, most likely from Europe. And we believe that they might be brought about by our repatriated overseas contract workers from Europe and the Middle East. But I want to talk to you about the Diamond Princess kasi we initiated this 14-day quarantine, pero bakit may nakakalusot, di ba? Bakit may nakakalabas sa 14-day quarantine na yun? So it is so very important
Hindi ba, Doktora, I remember kasi, alam mo, para akong elepanteng pira-piraso yung utak eh. I remember that may mga tumakas pa from that group eh. I remember the
now that
police
you tell
had
me,
to, Remember?
No, I do not know. That's why, kasi Sito, gagawa sana kami ng model. Ito yung model
Oh.
na ginagawa namin. Kasi to explain this, it really is perplexing to us if we have this quarantine system. How come ang dami nakalabas? Dami
Mm.
ha? And some of them are severe cases, particularly for the
And
old people.
if you're going to do an analysis, I could be wrong, no? I'm just piecing what I remember
Oo,
together.
kasi gusto namin Sito malaman kung may
Oh.
nakalabas, may nakatakas, o may pinamauwi ng maaga.
You remember na nagalit si Presidente kasi marami doon yung iba hindi pa nga baka yung iba Diamond Princess, yung iba ibang cruise ship. But I
Okay.
remember some of them stayed there for so long, yung iba 1 month na yata kasi na-delay yung results ng DOH, and the president was really upset and sabi niya, tapusin ninyo lahat yan. Gusto ko makauwi lahat yung mga yan. Alam mo naman, dito sa Pilipinas, pag utos ng hari hindi mababali, may mga nagmadali. Yun ang natatandaan ko from what I gathered back then. May mga nagmadali, pinakawala, pinauwi below the 14-day quarantine.
So, that's
And
very,
then,
very important information Sito kasi bakit may leakage?
well, all you
Kikita
have to
mo.
do, you can also check with the local government officials kung saan pinauwi yung mga Diamond Princess o yung mga seafarers. Kasi meron sa kanila, I remember noon, at least 3 mayors na nagwala. Kasi sabi, ano ba namang system yan? Pinauwi ninyo pagdating dito, ang pasalubong sa amin, COVID-19. Akala namin na-test ninyo na yan dyan, na-check ninyo. I mean, this was early. I mean, we can blame and all that stuff, pero
So
no one
sinasabi lang
knows
natin dito.
better.
Correct.
Oo.
Correct. So Sito, kasi sinasabi namin kung from the press release, clear na sinabi they were strictly all made to undergo 14-day quarantine. And yet within 10 days, supposed to be from release, we already see cases sa PGH na admit na, sa 2 of whom have actually expired, di ba? So we were saying na, is it possible na may hindi na complete ang 14-day quarantine? And though you're saying to me, that is very likely kasi the spread is all over. May Ilocos, may Laguna, may Rizal, may Metro Manila, very, very consistent with the possibility na nag-spread nga sila, di ba? And if you look very closely, hindi yun sila Australia, yung mga sequences na na-sequence natin, hindi yun sila Australia, hindi yun sila Netherlands, they all cluster from the Diamond Princess. Sinabi lang na Australia or say Netherlands because yung mga taga-Australia na nanggaling din yun sa Diamond Princess. So if you look at the phylogenetic analysis very, very closely, puro sila Diamond Princess entire March. So that also brings us to the very, very important question that we really need to refine the quarantine measures we do. And that, sa palagay ko, isa pa Sito may importante. Sometimes, I don't know how the quarantine is really being done, but sometimes we quarantine them from us. Okay, they quarantine the people who arrived. They quarantine in from the local people, pero they may not quarantine them from each other. You know what I mean? So you know the rooms. Okay, kasi we're trying to understand bakit nakalabas o nag-spread. Kasi ang mahirap kasi dito sa virus na ito, may asymptomatic transmission, and the viral load could be as high as the symptomatic ones. So we were saying, if we quarantine people, we don't quarantine them from us, not from outside, but also from each other.
Ayun na nga yung sinabi sa akin.
From each other.
Ayun nga sinabi sa akin ni Mayor Alfred Romualdez eh. Sinabi niya, Cito, quarantine ka ng quarantine dyan. Ang banyo naman iisa. Di pareho.
Agree. At saka sometimes we do not know whether they eat together or chit-chat sila magkatabi. When we quarantine them also from each other because there could be a silent transmission occurring among the people who are being quarantined and are not tested.
Yeah, and there's also this thing because my wife is going to kill me if she watches this interview. No, because she's in the Netherlands. And when she comes back, she already has a booking in a local hotel malapit sa Kapitolyo, and that will be part of the quarantine. Now, here's the thing. Natatandaan ko, there were people who were asked, and foreigners kasi may expat group yung wife ko, and nagchat sila, and there were stories lang, I'm not saying this official, there were stories na after 3 days tatanungin ka, do you have your own room, does it have a bathroom, can you self-isolate, papayagang umuwi. Whereas in China, they will first test you at the airport.
Yes.
After you are tested in the airport, you will be accompanied to a hotel, and then you will be locked into the hotel. If you open that door, the alarms will go on, may CCTV camera, and there will be a nurse going to your room every day, checking, asking, what do you have any signs, any coughs, etc. So, dito, ang nangyari, and this was in the early months na,
Early
well,
days,
few months
early
ago,
days.
sabi sa akin ng mga ilang foreigner, after 3 days, meron naman kasi kaming kwarto, may bahay kami, may banyo, pinauwi na kami. And that explains your quandary. Why are we having this problem? Where did the spread come from? But how relevant are these discoveries to our current situation, Doktora?
So for example, Cito, gusto namin pag-aralan, of course, we have some partial sequences of June and July. We want to know kung ano yung contribution, kasi sasabihin natin it's like a super spreading mechanism. How is the contribution of that original cluster to the present cases we have? We don't know. Hopefully, Cito, in 1 month, we will have an answer kasi nagsisequence kami ngayon. Kasi di ba nakita mo yung sa Biogen, yung there was a conference in Boston, yung, tapos it's probably causing about 20,000 cases all over the world, mostly of course in Boston and in the US. Itong ating, maganda kasi yung Diamond Princess because the sequences are many. They were deposited by India, by Japan, by Australia, by the Netherlands and Europe. So ang daming sequences na makikita mo, meron ka kung baga, may base data ka. And we wanted to see, for example, because it also tells us that we have to learn from the experience of this, of how we repatriate our overseas Filipino workers and our crewmen. Kasi kung may leak doon, di mahirap. Unless we have sequence data, actually, we will not have any proof. But the sequence that we have is an evidence that something needed to be refined in the manner by which we quarantine our overseas contract workers. Yun nga yung sinasabi mo na how do you impose quarantine? CR shared, correct? CR just shared. So of course, challenging naman talaga if you have really a lot of people to be quarantined. So how do you ensure na within the use of a common comfort room, you do not unnecessarily spread a silent infection or you do not promote a silent transmission?
You know, it just occurred to me, Doktora, because pasensya ka na, medyo sinasabayan ko na yung pag-iisip mo eh. You know, the reality is the people on ships, cruise ships or whatever, merchant marine boats, etc., they travel longer.
Yes.
The exposure time is longer. They're docked out at sea or in front of the piers much longer before the local health authorities were able to get to them compared to the OFWs flying in or expats flying in. Medyo hindi papayag kasi si Edmond Real dyan sa NAIA. Hindi welfare bill itong NAIA. Pwede ba i-process ninyo kagad yan, no? I suppose that's also the problem. The way we have one size fits all for the testing, for the isolation, etc. Pero yung nasa barko, mas marami yung dumadagsa kaysa sa eroplano.
That's true. At saka yung sa barko kasi, and it's very important dito na unless the results have arrived, dapat pure quarantine, naka-quarantine talaga, not just because na-swab ka na tapos usap-usap na naman kayo, hindi pwede, dapat naka-quarantine ka. And in fact, pwede rin kasi Cito na kung may silent transmission, hindi siya ma-detect today, but 5 days later, pwede siya ma-detect. So probably, for that, dalawang klaseng testing upon arrival and 5 days after arrival, which actually they are trying to recommend now in India.
Okay, what would you recommend to the government? Because I just remembered I was looking at the Philippine Star this morning. I was reading it, and may storya dito. Pasensya ka na, hahanapin ko lang. Medyo na-shock ako kasi ang daming darating down na mga overseas workers. Libo yung dadating yata. More than 6,000 returning Pinoys COVID positive. Medyo baka sabihin ng mga nanonood nag-iimbento ko. Nandun po yun because we have hundreds of thousands returning and more than 6,000 are positive. Yun, na-test na yun doon, obviously.
So, yung pag-positive sila, dapat ipa-lapse muna yung 14 days or more kung may symptoms sila bago sila i-fly kasi hindi pwedeng mag-fly na positive sa planes.
Correct. Oh. So, okay. So, wrapping it all up, what would be your recommendation to the government? Kasi si Presidente will be speaking today regarding yung ating mga quarantine levels. Pero hindi natin mapapara yung pagdating ng mga yan and yun ang sinasabing carriers.
Correct. At saka syempre, it's also challenging to the local governments who will be receiving them. So yung situation ng Philippines is really, really unique kasi marami talaga tayong overseas Filipino workers, some of whom have unfortunately been positive for the virus. So we should find a mechanism, yung sinasabi ko sa inyo na yung testing nila upon arrival should be very rapid. Dapat 24 to 48 hours, labas agad yung results. Hindi pwedeng 7 days.
But
kasi
you can
wala
see, Doctora, if you're looking at the screen right now, siguro napansin mo, parang parang ICU yung mga facilities, kurtina lang ang diferensya. Is that enough? Is that safe enough? I'm sorry, no, I don't want to criticize, but you're
actually,
the expert.
Hindi lang naman ito sa atin, sa maraming lugar, meron din naman. So essentially, Cito, dapat sila ika-cluster. Ika-cluster natin sila yung may mga symptoms, walang symptoms, at saka yung high risk or low risk. So dapat within the facility, meron din tayong kumbaga different levels of isolation. And number 2, kailangan i-impose na pag na-isolate, dapat hindi kalahati mask tapos magsasalita sa tabi niyang pasyente, dapat i-impose yun. And number 3, isang challenge talaga, toilet also. I don't know how it's going to be done when you have shared toilet and you have people who might be asymptomatic or might be, during testing might be negative but eventually will become asymptomatic or might become positive. So those are the things that as we go along, we are learning about the process. But number 1, it's really, really important. Number 1, dapat walang leakage doon sa quarantine center. Number 2, dapat the results should come out very fast because so that they will have clinical relevance. And number 3, not only do we quarantine them from us, but they should be quarantined from each other also.
Okay, well, thank you, Doctora and Doctora Cynthia, because that teaches us a lot na kasi nagtitiis ang mga Pilipino, hirap na yung mga government officials natin, and yet we are not realizing na para pala tayong bahay na may gripong nakabukas. Pasok ng pasok, kawawa naman tong mga OFW, mga seafarers natin, kailangan makauwi, pero kailangan din yung pag-uwi at pagpasok. Kasama na dyan yung asawa ko, kailangan maayos yung kanilang isolation and they should first be tested. Kasi alam mo, dun sa Netherlands, bago nakasakay yung misis ko, required ka to be tested and you can only fly out within a 72-hour period. Pagka landing mo dun sa Netherlands, optional na. Pwede kang magpa-test. Libre ang pa-testing doon. So, nagkakaalaman kagad. In any case, thank you, Doctora. And please, if you need a platform, you need to share information, we are here because first and foremost, we want people to know what's going on and we want people to know from the authorized and scientific people such as you. Thank you very much, Doctora.
Thank you so much. So, have a nice day.
Okay, yan po si Dr. Cynthia Saloma, Executive Director of the Philippine Genome Center. Ayun po, no, para maintindihan nyo, wag kayo magpapanik, no? Pero now, nagkakaalaman. Sinabi ko nga when I was talking with Dr. Saloma, look, since from February up to last month, we don't know. We didn't know. We knew nothing. It was, sabi nga, medyo, we work as we go, we fix as we learn. Pero ayun, nagkakaalaman. Meron tayong mga parating na mga tao, whether Filipino or foreigner, pagkatapos kailangan i-quarantine, pero medyo nabutasan yung ating mga quarantine systems. Bakit kanyo? Na-quarantine mo nga, 10 sila sa isang unit, pagkatas iisang banyo, so may hawahan pa rin. Dapat nga dyan, katulad ng ibang sistema, solo-solo. Hindi kayo nagkikita for 14 days. Kung mapapansin ninyo, lumalabas ng mga hospital ng survivor, hindi siya hinahawakan, kinakamayan, naka-PPE na nga yung mga nurse at doktor na nagbababay sa mga COVID survivor, pero social distancing. Parang, okay, Bok, magaling ka na, pero ayokong lumapit sa'yo, baka mahawa pa ako. Parang ganun. In any case, let's learn from the past. It's not a blame game. Let's not be too sensitive. Let's not be too, critical, etc. But we need to fix what needs to be fixed. We'll go for a break, and when we return, let's find out naman from our next guest. Medyo tutorial na naman po ito tungkol sa hot money. Ano ba yung hot money? At sa sobrang init daw ng money, palabas na yung money. Okay, we'll be right back here on Agenda. Okay, students, bring out your laptops and your iPads for our next lesson for the day. Ito po tungkol sa hot money. Now, let me just do the recap here provided by Gab and our team of researchers, sila Arvic, sila John, and Winona. Okay, foreign portfolio, FPI, okay? Foreign portfolio investments or hot money fled the Philippines for the 5th straight month. Investor confidence remains weak and uncertainties caused by COVID-19 crisis. Hot money yielded a net outflow. Palabas po, no? $453.17 million. Aray ko. In July, according to the BSP. For the first 7 months of the year, net outflows surged to 3.8 billion more than 5 times bigger than the 706 million net outflow of January to July in 2019. Kasi yung pera naman yan, labas-pasok yan eh. Labas-pasok, we have investors who, good in Manila, let's invest there. Pagkatapos biglang, that's not growing, let's pull out. Pero mahirap pong magmarunong kasi ako, yung money ko is what's in my pocket. Nabuhay ako sa Amerika ng 1.5 years, walang credit card. All cash. No cash, no buy. Stay home. Okay, let's talk to Carlo Asuncion, Chief Economist, Union Bank of the Philippines. Carlo, are you there? There we go.
Yes. Good morning, Cito. Thank you
Professor
for inviting.
Carlo, good morning po. Ikaw na mag-lecture sa amin. Kasi alam mo, we try to, widen the range of topics here on agenda, but also to educate people. Kasi nababasa mo, hot money, hot money. Ang inabot ko lang nung panahon ko, hot pants. Ano ba yung hot money na yan?
Well, hot money, as you mentioned, no, so foreign portfolio investments. And hot money, sabi nila. And it's listed securities, actually listed PSEI, no? So galing sa stock market natin yan, mga securities na pwedeng bilhin ng mga foreigners. Peso government securities, so yung mga iba't ibang ino-offer ng gobyerno, no? And other investments like time deposits, UITF. So yan yung mga umiikot kung nasaan yung tingin ng mga foreign funds, kung saan yung pwedeng kumita sila, kasi ngayon ang nangyayari sa sobrang high-tech, algorithms na lang, yun na lang ang nagde-determine niya kung saan pupunta, no? But syempre meron pa rin yung mga analysts. So it's just basically money, foreign money going in, trying to earn money, and then kung medyo mainit or tingin nila, it's not so safe. Kasi nga, normally safe haven ang pinupuntahan ng iba lalo na pag crisis, no? So then, pag tingin nila ganon, they basically fly. They fly away.
So parang ang nangyayari, itong mga grupo na ito ay mga fund managers. Kumbaga, may mga hinahawakan silang pera para sa mga kliyente, kumpanya na kailangan namang ilagay yung pera na yon kung saan lalaki o tutubo. Correct. And then, pupusta sila sa Manila, sasabihin nila, okay itong offering ng BSP o Philippine government, merong sure shot dito na, pero ang tanong ko, Carlo, yan ba mga short term? Quickie lang ba yung mga yan o long term? Ang hinahanap ba nila kasi nagtataka ako, 6 na buwan, biglang pull out na.
Meron yung mga kasi yung time deposits, like for example 90 days, no? So maiksing panahon lang yun. So yun nga because like for example sa stock market, pasok ka, and then pag kumita ka na, pwede ka na lumabas. Ganun lang naman yun eh. So it's fairly easy, it's very porous, no? Sabi nga nila, pasok then labas, as long as your kumbaga investments goals mo na meet na or medyo alanganin ka na talaga, labas ka na. So but let me just also add na hindi lang din grupo, no, there are also small players, no, mga individuals, but syempre maliit na parte na lang sila, no, but of course the bigger ones are the ones that are actually affecting the flow of investments.
Okay, nabanggit mo yung word na affecting. Some people say, don't even pay attention to that foreign FPI na foreign portfolio investments kasi mga opportunists yung mga yan. We only need them to make us look good because when FPIs come to the Philippines para pumusta, parang sinasabi nila sa buong mundo, okay ang Pinas. It's okay to bet there. But in terms of impact or benefit to the country, directly in terms of money and economy, may pakinabang ba tayo o may threat ba na ganyan? Kasi alam mo, pag nabasa mo na 7 months running, ang billion dollar ang nawala, medyo parang magkakamot ka ng ulot, patay-patay na tayo dito.
Kaya nga minsan like for example, 'di ba, yung sabihin natin stock market. I'm sure baka narinig mo na rin 'yon na uy, tumataas yung stock market, baka maganda yung ekonomiya. But if you look at it, hindi naman talaga basihan yun, no? And just to at least show you a part where a lot of these hot money play, and it doesn't really reflect. Halimbawa, okay, hindi ngayon katulad niyan, 5 months na outflow, no,
Hmm.
about month to date, year to date, net outflows is about 3.8 billion. Malaki-laki 'yon, no? 3.8
Hmm.
billion dollars, no, outflow. So net outflow. So yun, like going back to what I was saying, hindi mo masasabing completely na yun ang real state, no longer state,
Hmm.
no, ng ekonomiya, no. So probably it could be just near term or medium term, pero yung talagang mahabang epekto. So of course, yun yung mga tinitingnan mo magiging epekto talaga sa mga common na tao kasi mas yung mga longer term effects yun yung mga mas
Hmm.
importante.
Pero okay no, so yan kumbaga nakikipag-date lang sa atin yung mga FPI na yan, di ba? Parang makikipag-date pag may makuha, thank you, pag wala lalayasan ka.
Yeah.
Ngayon, ang tanong, okay, because of course the economists and economists such as you have also said, not you in particular, but economists have said that the economy has really contracted. Ngayon, yung contraction natin is normal under the circumstance. Yung pag-alis nitong mga foreign investments na ito, yung hot money, is also normal. Pero combined together, are we unique or is this globally the same experience? Yung bang mga bansa dito sa ASEAN, ganun din ang experience nila?
Yeah, well, yun nga, that's the thing is that it's happening all over, no? And talagang yung malaking parte ng mga investors or investments, they're going to safer havens, sabi nga nila, no? So, kaya ako napapansin mo yung gold lately has been on an uptrend, no? And talagang makikita mo rin yung attitude tsaka yung expectations ng mga generally lalo na yung mga international investors na let's go to a more safer type of investment. A more kumbaga medyo mainit ngayon no? Konting mali mo lang talagang talo ka, no? So kung ayaw mo
Hmm.
pang matalo further, you have to do it better. You have to be smart, no? And then just go to safer havens. No, I think one kasi ang nasi-single out sa Asia both Indonesia and the Philippines, no? So
Hmm.
yun yung mga kumbaga medyo ng hot money, no? So kasi nga yung sentiment about
Walang yarin talaga yung mga investor na yan, ano? Hindi, kasi before COVID-19, we were the darlings. Diba?
mm,
Indonesia and the Philippines. The Philippines and Indonesia were practically competing with each other, attracting investors because everybody was saying it's such a young population, the thriving economy, etc. Nagka-COVID lang, nilayasan na tayo ng mga lintik na yan. Ngayon, ang tanong ko, Carlo, pasensya ka na, medyo nakakaasar parang mga taksil, sabi nga nila. No, but here's the question. There are young, I don't know what you call them, brokers, investment bankers, whatever, who copy or use these FPI managers as a benchmark or as a guiding post to their local activity. Does that still make sense nowadays? Kasi parang yung iba kasi walang alam ko kung gagayahin na lang yung mga foreigners, sasabihin, "Oy, Carlo, wag kang mag-invest diyan kasi umalis na si ganito, nag-pull out na si ganyan, dito na lang muna tayo."
Well, ang kagandaan naman nun Cito, is that we know na ganun nga yung itsura nung hot money, I mean FPI. Pero
Hmm.
yung local market, yung mga local players, they're the ones actually supporting the market, no? Even just the past two trading days last week, no? Talagang kitang-kita mo na it's really the local market that has been uh, supporting.
In what
No?
way, Carlo?
They're staying. Of course, wala naman sila ibang pupuntahan, di ba? So, but I
Obvious.
think,
Oh.
yeah, I mean, kumbaga, ano na atin-atin to. Ba't natin iiwanan? No, let's just really find a way to, earn somehow, and then kapag when things get better and things get, going again, then that's where we, ganun lang talaga eh. That's how the cycle goes, no?
Yeah.
Yun lang, how deep the cycle goes is how we have to, ayun yung kailangan natin talagang bunuin, sabi nga nila.
Yung bang mga money placement, stocks, investments, yung mga ginagawa mo at saka ginagawa ng mga kasama mo, no? Does it directly, and pasensya ka na, stupid question, ignorant question, and I'm being sincere, no? Does it directly contribute to creating jobs, yung parang to stimulate business on the ground? Kasi maraming ang pag tumitingin sa mga stockbroker, mga investment bankers, parang, hindi ko na maabot yan, kaalayo niyan, para na lang sa mga bilyonaryo yan. Pero para at least malaman ng tao yung role ng mga katulad ninyo in the economy and in real lives.
Kasi talagang we're basically facilitators talaga, no? To facilitate yung intermediate, kaya nga financial intermediation, talagang, from investors to your companies, no, na talagang, for example, bawa, may isang kumpanya na gustong bumili ng dollar dahil gusto niyang mag-expand sa, let's say, sa abroad or do some importing or some sort or exporting of some sort, no? So, syempre, kami yung gumagawa nun. And thus, of course, in between those are, syempre, kailangan, for example, ng kumpanya na yun mag-produce. So, kailangan niya ng mga tao na i-employ para makapag-produce siya. So, it's very critical in that situation where we basically intermediate and facilitate the flow of money and along the way give some 2 cents worth, sabi nga nila, kung saan dapat pumunta yung pera, kung ano dapat yung gawin, gano'n.
Carlo, I remember before COVID-19, the badge of accomplishment or the medal of accomplishment, so to speak, for corporations, big corporations, was to be able to expand or start up businesses abroad. Yung mga fast food, mga Jollibee, yung Oishi, even San Miguel had investments abroad. I think the Ayala Group and I think even the MVP Group had investments abroad. Paano na ngayon yung mga yan? Pullback ba yan? Shutter? Or just wait it out?
Varied depends, iba-iba rin no? Different strokes for different folks, no? So pag iba yung iba yung, syempre definitely kung alalahanin mo kung anong industriya sila they belong, no? Kung medyo yung industriya na yon ay at this point essential, kasi we're really looking at essentials na talagang would be leaders, no? So yung food, yung health, even insurance. So yun yung mga kailangan ng mga tao ngayon, no, yung mga gamot. So yun yung mga depende talaga. Pero meron din talaga yung malalakas ang loob that they would stay, and ride it out. And of course, syempre hindi mo naman magko-compute din talaga yan. They have to be calculated and doing calculated risks, as sabi nga nila. So
does size mean might? Kasi hindi ba sinasabi nila noon, size means might, maraming pera, mahaba ang PC, no? Now in the Philippines, you mentioned kasi the word essential. So a lot of Filipinos shifted to food. Pati yung small people nagpumasok na rin sa food. And sabi ko nga, paano na ito? hindi ba parang mga, and I hate to use the word, no, kasi I just cannot think of anything more graphic. Alam mo yung mga little people parang naging anay na slowly eating into the market share of these big corporations or these big companies na were the giants in the industry, like food, like whatever. Does size still mean might nowadays, or kanya-kanya na talaga, territories na lang ang maglalaban?
Marami talagang transition eh. There's a lot of transition happening in the economy because of COVID-19, no?
Hmm.
So, number one, dahil nasa bahay tayo lahat, halos, no? Essential na lalabas, and like for example, sa pagkain, depende. Halimbawa, may mga trends ngayon na ang nangyayari localized. So meaning, siyempre, yung mga tao gusto nila, ayaw nila lumayo. So siyempre maapektuhan nun yung mga supermarket na pinupuntahan mo usually na malayo-malayo, for example. But instead of going there now, you're going to a near one which is probably organized by a local person. So iba eh, merong mga ganong klaseng so it depende sa market, and at the same time it really takes a lot of not just your might, but I remember early parts when I was part of this certain parang webinar, and they were talking about innovation, na talagang importante yung maging innovative ka at this point, more than just, of course, that will really help, no, yung pera that backs up the company, of course. But syempre, it's anybody's ball game kapag crisis. Talagang nafa-flatten yung playing field. And one example is that kami sa UnionBank, kami dati, when I came into the bank 2016, sabi ng CEO, digitize or perish. Okay, sabi ko, what does that mean? So I mean, but then after 4 years and then this thing happened, now I know why. Sabi ko, okay, talagang it was a strategic and a very good move on our part. So parang ganun, no? But it doesn't really have to be you're big. Hindi na medyo na yun eh, na kumbaga nagbe-blur yung talagang it depends on, sabi nga nila, diskarte mo na at this point, lalo na pag-crisis.
Okay. Well, Carlo, thank you very much for your inputs, and sana naman may mga nagre-react na nga eh. So, obviously, may mga natututunan ng tao, and ayun nga, merong isang nag-text tinatanong, Cito, ang FPI, pera-pera lang yan, cosmetics lang yan. What matters to me is, do they help the Filipino? And nasagot naman natin yun, yung tulong nyo indirect. Anyway, thank you very much, Carlo, Asuncion, and I hope to get to interview you more in the future. And like I said, please, if you need someone to as a platform for your information, you're welcome here on Agenda.
Thank you for inviting me.
Okay, thank you. And that's Mr. Carlo Asuncion, Chief Economist, Union Bank of the Philippines. Yun po, ginagawa po natin kasi itong mga topics na ito, hindi dahil gusto natin maging sophisticated, we don't want to sound so high-tech, etc. No. Many of us, me included, this is the first time I tackled this topic. I'm not very familiar. Yes, may mga nabasa ako here and there, but I'm just like most of you guys. And if I know a little more, I interview people, 3 to 4 people a day on this program alone. Pwera pa yung mga ka-chismis ko, kapunpal ko. So, if you don't learn just by talking from people, medyo I think you should see an EENT, okay? Because and if the EENT says your hearing is normal, don't go to a neurosurgeon. I don't think he will be able to help you. Go to a teacher, a mentor, etc. In any case, thank you, Ildefonso Bayani, sa comment mo, at yun naman po ay in-address natin kanina. We will I think I'm supposed to go for a break right now, or I have no idea. But yeah, we're supposed to go for a break because it's 9 o'clock. And when we come back, short editorial, and we will go to our interview of our last guest for the day. Very interesting guest, the owner or co-founder of Human Nature. We'll be right back. Okay, you're back here on Agenda. I'm Cito Beltran, and you are watching us via Signal TV, channels 8 and 250. Okay, bago ko pupuntahan yung next guest natin, please allow me just to make mention of my column today. In the Philippine Star, it's entitled, Let My People Go. Ang brief synopsis lang po nito, no, kasi medyo mahaba ito, ay pinapapunto ko lang, pinapaabot ko lang na si Presidente Rodrigo Duterte and Finance Secretary Sani Dominguez have been pushing for the opening of the economy and many others, pati DTI, etc. Pero ito po ang problema. Hindi mangyayari yan ng lubos. That's not going to happen in full reality unless we change the view of how to deal with COVID-19. Secretary Duque is supposed to be in charge of the IATF, and alongside him are supposed to be the different SARs. Ito po ang problema. Takot na takot sila sa numbers. Takot sila sa number of casualty, number of mortality, etc., etc. Pero ito yung mali sa sitwasyon natin eh. We have the Interagency Task Force. Ang problema po natin is a national health crisis. A task force is for small events, small disasters, di ba? Pag may napatay, may mga na-massacre, di ba nagtatayo sila ng mga task force? Pag merong mga problema sa smuggling, gagawa sila ng task force. Hindi po ito maliitang problema. Malaking problema po ito. We need a national organization composed of national experts. And hindi po just one group. Alam nyo, napaka-unfair yung nababanatan itong mga retired generals with militarization of our approach to COVID. Hindi po yun ang problema eh. Ang problema kasi mali yung solusyon. Na-label lang ng militarization kasi may mga ex-military. Okay? And ang approach nila is quarantine. Kanino bang ideya yung quarantine? Hindi ba kay Duque yun? So, kailangan ayusin and we make it a national organization. Because tingnan ninyo, listening to Dr. Salma, ako, naiisip ko kasi Salma, Cynthia Saloma, so Dr. Cynthia Saloma. Just listening to her gives you a perspective regarding where all of these are coming from, these mga infections. Community transmission tayo ng community transmission kanyo, yung pala, ang problema nanggagaling para sa isang barko, yung cruise liner. Now, in any case, gusto ko lang pong paabot sa mga kinaukulan. We need a national organization. We also need someone in charge. Huwag niyo pong gawing panangga, sandata ang Pangulo. The President is in charge of everything in this country. He's the President. But if you're going to have even a national task force or a national organization, it must have one identifiable leader who is accountable. Kasi alam nyo, nagkaungguyan dito sa IATF na ito eh. Ang nangyari, nangyari dito sa IATF, gumawa ng task force pero walang nagpakita. Kumbaga ang daming ulo. Hydra. I wrote it in my column. I called it a Hydra with no identifiable leader who can be held accountable. Pag may putok na ganito, tawagin mo si SAR for this. Pag may problema sa ganito, may SAR for that. Puro SAR, nakakaasar. Okay? Hindi po ako nagpapatawa. Nakakaasar na talaga that there is no identifiable leader who can be accountable. It is not a national organization. Hindi po pwedeng part-time tawag o call when needed. No, this is a war. If we are going to go at war, it has to be everybody on war footing. Hindi yung nangyayari, tayo nag-aaway kasi hindi tayo magkaintindihan at hindi tayo magkaroon ng cooperation. And why? Because the communication has broken down, there is no identified leader, there is no semblance or there is no impression of competence. Kumbaga puro stopgap measure. In any case, please read my column in the Philippine Star. It's available online if you don't have it available on hand. Okay? Now, let's go to our next interview. Medyo ito, talagang ni-request ko ito nung nalaman kong may access tayo. Let's speak with the co-founder of Human Nature. She started this together with her sister Camille and husband Dylan, started Gandang Kalikasan Incorporated or Human Nature in 2008. Anna has received numerous awards, including the Cosmetics Design, Beauty, and Industry Awards, among other. Okay, Anna Meloto-Wilk, are you there?
Good morning, Cito. Kamusta ka?
Okay. Good morning, Ana. Alam mo, lungkot na lungkot yung daughter ko kasi nasa Holland na siya. Yun ang isa sa number one customer mo. Dahil
Oh no.
yung
Padalhan
kanyang...
na din sa Holland. Sabay ko din
yung,
sa mga friends ko sa Vienna.
hindi, tinatanong niya, meron bang human nature sa Holland, sa Netherlands? Kasi mamumroblema siya sa supply. In any case,
Okay.
let's talk about human nature and just parang pasakali lang mga kaibigan, kanya ako po pinifeature ang human nature. Dala na nga ng anak ko. Yung anak ko super kulot ang buhok. Tapos gumamit siya ng human nature products. Biglang, naging passionista, naging model. So she swears by your product. Now, please tell us more about human nature.
All right. Thank you, Cito. First of all, thanks for inviting me here. And I actually read your column also today. And so I'm very, very happy that there are people who actually are able to see our situation and find, points of collaboration that we can somehow work together with, and maybe the government will also listen to it. So Human Nature, we started 12 years ago. I can't believe it, na parang ang tagal na, more than a decade. And it was really started as parang discussion and an experiment between and among my sister and my husband. So nagsimula siya sa mga babae, kaming magkapatid, Camille and I, because we were looking for brands and we were looking for products that we could really stand behind. And this was coming from our love for the beauty industry, cosmetics, kasi nga babae, diba? And also I was a new mom at that time. I was building my family. I had 2 small children. And as any, new mom would tell you, we always wanted the best products. We wanted safe products. So that was one perspective. But another perspective na pinanggagalingan din namin is we all came from the development space. So lumaki kami sa Gawad, Kalinga. My dad was also founder of GK. So sanay kami dun sa really yung mga konsepto ng nation building, konsepto ng building the new middle class, ganyan. And our development background and also our corporate background somehow merged together with the idea of building a business that will create high quality, globally competitive products that use local ingredients, that really harness the talent of Filipino scientists and researchers, and maybe some of our own expertise from marketing and communication. But at the same time, really connect it with farming communities, really be able to provide opportunities, dignified work for our people in the cities as well. So I think it was God's providence then, na nagsama-sama yung mga different backgrounds and yung mga different strengths naming co-founders. So I have communications, advertising, and marketing background. My sister naman came from beauty multinational, one of the icons of talagang ethical beauty, which is Body Shop. And then my husband was the third piece of the puzzle. He was a very successful entrepreneur. His first company went public and he was in the games industry. So he had the operational, the financial background, and also the vision on how to scale a startup company. So it was just that confluence of things. So in a sense, I always say it was really not out of just one person's dream or even our own individual talents. It was really also the experiences and the values that we imbibed from our previous experiences and the people who've mentored us in Gawad Kalinga, in our corporate life. It was really parang putting all those together to come up with a business that would make Filipinos proud and also help to connect the most vulnerable sectors to the market.
Okay. Now, ang nag-connect sa akin sa inyo, to give credit where credit is due is Pastor Robert Buen.
Yes.
I was being invited to speak at Saddleback Church in Laguna, and biglang nabanggit lang niya na he knew you people, and I said talaga kasi ang tagal ko nang gustong ma-interview yan, and he said to me that you are a Christian organization. I find this interesting because there's another Christian company in the food nutrients business. Pasensya ka na, hindi ko lang matandaan. Tatatlong alphabet lang yung pangalan ng kumpanya niya. Hindi ko pa matandaan. In any case, puro kayo pumuputok ngayon eh. You are the companies that are floating, going up, and making a name, making a brand. Now, when you put all of it together, what is the driving motto or statement? Ano ba yung foundational statement ng human nature? Kasi ako, I'm pro-local. I'm pro-Filipino, and I'm pro-Christian. Now, what is the driving statement for human nature?
All right. Sige. Our mission really is to be faithful stewards of the people and the resources that have been given to us by God. And I really firmly believe, even from the time before I became an entrepreneur, that God has given the Philippines so many gifts. And a lot of these gifts are hidden. And maybe a lot of us don't recognize that we are very rich in so many things. We are rich in natural resources. We are rich in people. We are rich in talent. And we are rich in relationships. And we wanted to be faithful stewards of all of these things that God has given us to be able to sustainably grow them and be able to distribute them to where it is needed and to showcase the best of the Philippines and uplift our people, especially the poor, by creating high quality natural products, because that's the industry that we are in. So really the foundation of our business is stewardship, and really making sure that once we are called by God one day to account for everything that has been given to us, we can say that we really did the best that we can with what we had to really bring with us other people who may not have had the same opportunities as us.
Okay, now we've settled that. Our accountability to God, our being Christians and being responsible. Now, tinitingnan ko yung mga produkto ninyo, and parang sabi ko, how did they come up with these product lines? I mean, yung anak ko sinasabi, Papa, I swear by their moisturizer. Yung para sa buhok ba? Yung para sa buhok mo? Ngayon, pinapanood ko yung mga pina-flash nila Gab at ng team. Sabi ko, this needs a rocket scientist to figure out, because it's not easy. People would say, I'll come up with the shampoo or I'll come up with this. Pero how do you come up with a series of products and not crash and burn?
Actually, from the very beginning, even before the pandemic, and I think this is also one of the things that has saved us, innovation has been at the core of human nature. And I'm very, very, very proud of our research and development team. All of our formulators are Filipino and very young. One of our most senior formulators came to us when she was only 22, 23, and she's really grown with the company. So, Cito, I can proudly say lahat ng mga products namin have been thought of, conceptualized, and executed, brought to market by 100% Filipino talent. And we have them. And I was just very, very fortunate that I was able to find them. Maybe not fortunate, but blessed. But God has really brought them to our company before they left the country because some of our best minds have already been, have moved to Singapore, Australia, and all of those things. But we still have quite a few gems here who continue to innovate, who continue to think of all of these products na based on kung ano yung kailangan talaga ng mga Pilipino. Katulad ng sinabi mo, di ba? Hindi tayo gumagawa ng mga produkto na pampaputi, hindi tayo gumagawa ng mga produkto na pampatuwid, but rather, mas paano pag gumanda yung morena na balat, mas paano pag gumanda yung kulot na buhok. Yung mga ganyan yung mga pinag-iisipan namin on a daily basis.
No, mind you, my daughter spent 3 kasi nag-transition into puberty yung daughter ko. Pinanganak na brown hair, straight hair na napakaganda. And then when she went into puberty, biglang naging ethnic. Sabi ko, hindi, wala akong kinalaman dyan, ha? Wala akong kulot sa pamilya ko. But she spent 3 months researching this. And after 3 months, she found out a hairstylist. There is a specialist for curly hair. And then discovered your products. So parang nakikita ko na malaking bagay because yung curly, I lost my trend of thought. No? But here's the thing. Kasi sa Pilipinas, ang dami ko na naging estudyante, both young and old, sa communications, na yung kulot, pinapaunat. And I keep telling them in the middle of my lectures, pwede ba curly hair can be so beautiful if you have the right material.
Correct.
And hindi ko alam na hindi kayo gumagawa ng pampaputi. Kasi isa pa yan. Sinasabi ko, ang ganda-ganda ng kutis namin, kinaiinggitan. Kanya ako nagkaroon ng foreigner na asawa. Ikaw foreigner din ang asawa mo, di ba?
Oo. Inglipino na siya ngayon. Hindi na siya English. Inglipino na.
Inglipino na. So anyway, did you get a pushback from people when you were developing this, Filipino-centric products? Kasi isa pang tanong dyan, sabi mo wala kayong pampaputi. Yung bang mga produkto mo created to Filipino tastes?
Maraming pushback in many aspects. For example, nung nagsisimula pa lang kami bago kami mag-launch, we had well-meaning businessmen friends, yung mga very experienced na when we shared with them yung konsepto namin, we wanted to create a business that will bring people out of poverty. Ang unang tanong sa akin, negosyo ka ba o NGO? Kasi make up your mind. Kung gusto mong magnegosyo, it's all about profit. Pero kung gusto mong maging NGO, balik ka na lang sa Gahod Kalinga, diba? Hindi mo pwedeng i-hybrid yung dalawang yon. And they were saying, I give you mga 2-3 years kasi yan naman ang survival rate ng mga bagong negosyo. And we took that advice with a grain of salt and, took all the precautions. But that was really a motivating factor for us to really make it and to really ensure that we make this business sustainable. In terms of yung challenging cultural norms naman sa Pilipino, nag-launch kami ng Morena and Proud. Ang tagal na, siguro mga 8 years ago pa yung Morena and Proud. Kasi nga, one of the things that we wanted to do was to remove yung stigma na pagka mas maitim ang balat mo, mas hindi kayong bida. Parang second lead ka lang or palagi ikaw yung best friend. But we really wanted to say na lahat tayo maganda. And alam mo naman yung Pilipino, yung color spectrum natin malawak, di ba? And one of the frustrating things before was nung nagde-develop kami ng mineral makeup, kahit sa mga consumer, naglabas talaga kami ng medyo mas dark, yung morena na shade. Tapos may mga pumupunta sa store, pinipilit nila na mas maputi sila. Kahit na nilalagay namin sa balat, tapos mukha na talagang arena sa balat nila. Talagang nagbubulag-bulaga na sinasabi na, Mami, hindi, dito ako sa mas maputi. And so we had our work cut out for us to really make it aspirational. Maganda ang morena, na maganda ang kulot. And I'm so happy nga na nag-evolve na rin yung pag-iisip ng mga tao ngayon. Ang dami ng mga groups, kunwari yung mga curly girls na talagang curly and proud, morena and proud. And nandito lang kami para suportahan sila na lalong ilabas yung kagandahan, hindi yung papalitan mo kung ano yung binigay sa'yo ng Panginoon.
Ay, nako, yun nga sinasabi. Pag nag-uusap yung mga foreigner, napangasawa mo? elite o exotic. Ha? Eh, ngayon, we are proud to be exotic. Now, alam mo, may katanungan dito kasi it's good. All of these products are there, but how do they benefit the poor people? Kasi
Mhm.
yung iba may pera, disposable income, bibili ng mga products or essentials nila yan, beauty, no? Pero yung mga wala naman, balita ko, yung mga tigagawad kalinga daw, employees din ninyo, yung mga residents doon, who does the work for you?
Okay, so when we were really thinking about this business, we wanted it to, first of all, be something that every Filipino can be proud of, na parang it's a local brand na hindi tayo ikakahiya, na pag ihilera mo sa mga Lancome at sa mga Shiseido at dun sa lahat ng mga French brands, na hindi mo naman ikakahiya na Filipino brand. So that's one that we really wanted to be globally competitive and for the world to recognize that the Filipino talent has what it takes to succeed in the world. So that's one. And then pangalawa, we really wanted to connect first of all, when we started the farming communities and to source products locally. So many of our products use ingredients from the Philippines. For example, yung mga insect repellent namin, we use citronella oil from Bukidnon. We sourced from Camarines also. And some in the Visayas, we use lemongrass from Negros. One of our most recent discoveries uses, alam mo ba yung lato, yung sea grapes?
Oh, naku, sarap nun.
Oo, favorite ko din yun, yung
Asin
lato.
lang, talo-talo na.
Correct, 'di ba? Tapos parang sumasabog yung alat ng dagat sa bibig mo pag kinain mo. So we discovered that active ingredient siya for moisture in the face. So we used it for a face care line. So meron kaming facial wash, meron kaming moisturizer using lato. Ang tawag na namin sa kanya marine caviar kasi 'di ba in the spirit of wanting to globalize or make something that is local or indigenous to the Philippines to be recognized by the world, ginawa namin siyang marine caviar, yung lato ng Bohol, and it comes from Bohol. So that's the second one. And the third one, actually, this was an evolving need that we found. So nung una, we were just thinking of farming communities. Tapos na-realize natin na ang laki ng population, ang laki ng segment of our society that are in the informal labor sector. Pwede kang nagtatrabaho for 10 years, 15, 16 years, pero wala kang benefits, wala kang seguridad sa trabaho mo kasi a lot of people are just contractual, especially sa industriya namin kasi consumer goods kami, yung mga binibili nyo sa grocery, di ba? Shampoo, conditioner, facial wash, sabon, dishwashing. Ang isa sa pinakamalaki, pinaka-importanting labor sector sa amin ay mga merchandiser, mga factory worker, and karamihan sa kanila contractual. So what we did was to, we realized na they're essential to us, hindi sila seasonal workers, so niregularize namin sila. And we made sure that we paid a living wage. So, nung nagsimula kami 10 years ago, the minimum wage was less than 500. And di pa kami masyadong kumikita, pero we made a commitment that we were going to pay a living wage. So, we paid them 500 a day versus the 436 pesos nung time na yun in Metro Manila. And in the past 10 years, naging over 1,096 na ang aming minimum wage, ang internal minimum wage namin sa human nature.
Thank you, Anna, and I am sure kukulitin pa kita for another interview with your sister and your husband. Medyo naubusan na ako ng oras. I have to go, but thank you very much, and God bless you, and God bless your organization. God bless your entire team and your products. Thank you very much, Anna.
Maraming salamat, Cito.
Okay, that's Anna Meloto-Wilk of Human Nature. Ako na po magsasabi, sampulan nyo na dahil kami na testing namin, lalo na kayong mga kulot, kung conditioner lang ang pag-uusapan, naku, wag na kayong lalayo. Dito na tayo sa gawang Pilipino, pero first class, world class. I'm Cito Beltran, and that's Agenda for Today.